Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we dig into your sources for the most compelling insights.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving into the world of the 2007 post-apocalyptic horror film, 28 Weeks Later.
Ah, yes. A really interesting one.
Yeah, it's not just, a straightforward sequel. We see it as a fascinating case study in world building, how franchises evolve, and what it takes to, revisit a universe that was already pretty terrifying.
Absolutely. Following up 28 Days Later was a huge task.
For sure. So our mission today is to explore its premise, the whole behind-the-scenes journey, its impact, and its kind of surprising legacy, actually. And we're drawing all this from the detailed Wikipedia entry you shared with us.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's unpack this then. 28 weeks after the world basically fell apart.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, it kind of falls apart all over again, doesn't it? 28 Weeks Later picks up after that first rage virus outbreak. It's definitely a sequel to 28 Days Later, the 2002 film, but it also stands on its own pretty well. The initial setup is, the U.S. military leading NATO forces trying to establish a safe zone back in London.
Like a foothold.
Exactly. They call it District 1. It's on the Isle of Dogs, heavily guarded, meant to be this little haven. Fragile hope, basically.
And then, bang, right away, we get that inciting incident. Donald Harris, Don, his wife Alice, a few others. They're in this cottage during the first outbreak. And Don, he escapes by boat.
Leaving Alice behind.
Yeah, leaves her to the infected. It's incredibly brutal. And it really defines him, shows those impossible choices people make under that kind of pressure.
It really does. So fast forward 28 weeks, that fragile hope we mentioned, it seems like maybe it's working.
For a minute, yeah.
The story is the infected have all starved to death. NATO takes control, starts trying to rebuild Britain. And Don reunites with his kids, Tammy and Andy.
Who were out of the country before.
Yeah, they were abroad. But here's the critical part. Don's carrying this huge secret. He lied. He told the kids their mom died.
Which she didn't. Not then, anyway. That lie. That's like the ticking clock for the whole film, isn't it?
Totally.
Because that's what brings it all crashing down again. The kids, Andy's scared he'll forget his mom's face, so they sneak out.
Out of the super secure safe zone.
Right, back to their old house, just trying to find a photo of Alice.
And what they find is, it twists everything. They find Alice alive, but she's delirious, clearly not okay.
And when the U.S. Army medical officer, Scarlett, gets her quarantined.
That's when they make the massive discovery. Alice is an asymptomatic carrier of the rage virus.
Meaning she has it, but it doesn't affect her.
Exactly. It's huge. It could be the key to a cure, the only real hope.
But then, Don, consumed by guilt, I guess, he breaks protocol, goes to see Alice.
Yeah, and he kisses her, gets infected through her saliva.
And then, in this just horrific sequence, he kills her.
Brutally.
Before starting his own rampage.
It's terrifying.
And it's so interesting. Making human frailty, that guilt, that mistake, the actual trigger for the whole thing collapsing again, it says a lot about maybe the film's view on society. It's not just the virus, it's us.
That's a great point. And from that one act, it just explodes. Don's infection spreads like, rage, chaos, massive casualties, civilians, military, everyone.
Things get bad fast.
So bad that Brigadier General Stone issues this horrifying order. Code Red, basically. Kill everyone. Indiscriminate execution. Just wipe the slate clean.
Jeez. But in the middle of that horror, you get these unlikely heroes emerging. Sergeant Doyle, the Delta Force sniper.
Right, played by Jeremy Renner.
He refuses the order, helps Scarlett and the kids, Tammy and Annie, and a few others trying to get out.
They just barely escape District 1 as the U.S. Air Force firebombs the whole place. But Don, the infected Don, he's still out there, still hunting them through this empty, desolate London.
Such a relentless pursuit.
And their journey just gets worse. Flynn, this helicopter pilot, shows up for extraction.
Okay, some hope maybe.
Not quite. Flynn basically says Doyle has to ditch the others. Then, in another shocking moment, one of their group, Sam, gets infected when Flynn uses the helicopter blades against the infected.
Oh, man.
Oh.
So even potential saviors are dangerous.
Exactly. Then they're escaping nerve gas in an old Volvo. And Doyle, he sacrifices himself, gets out to push start the car, lets himself get torched by flamethrowers so the others can get away.
Wow. Heroic, but grim.
Very grim. The whole film is a final act is down in the London Underground. Scarlett, Tammy, Andy navigating in the dark using a rifle scope's night vision.
That sounds terrifying.
It is.
Okay.
And Dawn ambushes them, kills Scarlett, bites Andy. Tammy manages to kill Dawn, finally, but it's too late for Andy. Like his mother, he's now an asymptomatic carrier.
Oh, that's just gut-wrenching. Like, hope itself is the most dangerous thing.
Pretty much. And the ending hammers that home. Tammy and Andy get to Wembley Stadium. Flynn, the pilot, reluctantly flies them across the channel to France.
Okay, so they made it.
Well, cut to 28 days later, Flynn's helicopter is abandoned. A French voice comes over the radio, panics, asking for help. And then you see it, infected, pouring out of a Paris metro station right near the Eiffel Tower.
So it spread.
Again.
Spread again to mainland Europe. It's this incredibly bleak, cyclical ending.
Yeah, that's a pretty dark outlook. Human error just keeps repeating itself. But, okay, shifting gears slightly. Building a world like this, especially as a sequel, that's tough. How did they even approach following up a hit like 28 days later?
Well, the motivation seems pretty clear from the sources. The first film was a huge success, critically and commercially, especially in the U.S.
Right, it really hit a nerve.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the creators, Danny Boyle, Andrew McDonald, Alex Garland, they saw an opportunity. McDonald specifically said they knew there was a built-in audience, and they wanted to satisfy that audience again.
Makes sense from a studio perspective. But interestingly, Danny Boyle, who directed the first one...
He didn't direct this one, no. He was busy with another sci-fi film, Sunshine, which also came out in 2007.
But he stayed involved. Yeah, crucially, he stayed on as an executive producer, so he still had creative oversight, which was probably important for consistency.
Did he have ideas for the sequel's direction?
Oh, yeah. Even before they hired a new director, Boyle's vision was apparently about the aftermath. The U.S. Army declaring victory, starting Reconstruction, that whole idea of fragile hope being built up.
Only to be shattered.
Exactly. That was seemingly baked in from the start.
So who did they bring in to direct?
They hired Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, a Spanish filmmaker. Boyle was reportedly a huge fan of his earlier film, Intacto, from 2001.
Intacto, yeah, I remember that one. Very stylish.
Boyle thought Fresnadillo could bring a fresh new perspective, which is interesting because Fresnadillo had apparently been on a bit of a hiatus, like 5 years, mostly doing TV commercials before this huge gig.
Wow, quite a jump. Did he have input on the script too?
He did, yeah. The original script was by Rowan Joffé, but Fresnadillo felt the family plot needed more work, wasn't developed enough.
So he rewrote it.
He did, with Enrique Lopez Levine and Jesus Olmo. They kept the core idea, the family trying to restart, but reshaped it significantly. Alex Garland also came back to give input during that rewriting process, which apparently took about a year.
So quite a collaborative effort to get the story right. And with a new director, new script focus.
Yeah.
Give a new cast, right?
Yeah.
The originals weren't available.
Exactly. Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, they were busy. So in September 2006, they announced this really strong new ensemble. Robert Carlyle as Don.
Perfect casting for that role.
Totally. Rose Byrne as Scarlett. Jeremy Renner as Doyle, Harold Perrineau, Catherine McCormack, the two kids, Macintosh Muggleton and Imogen Poots, and Idris Elba as General Stone.
That's a great cast.
Really solid. And here's a detail I found fascinating about the production.
Go on.
All the extras playing the infected. They weren't just random people pulled off the street.
No.
No, they were required to have movement backgrounds, like ballet, dance, gymnastics, circus performing, even miming.
Yeah. Seriously. Even for just background shots.
Apparently so. Even for small roles or distant shots. They wanted that specific kind of physicality for the rage victims, not just shambling zombies, you know?
That makes so much sense now, thinking about how they move in the film. It's jerky, fast, almost unnaturally controlled in its chaos.
Yeah.
Not like classic zombies at all.
Exactly. It gives them that unique, genuinely terrifying quality. That visceral rage embodied. It's a technical choice that hugely impacts the horror.
There's incredible detail. And thinking about technical choices, the camera work, too, still had that gritty, handheld feel from the first one, right?
Very much so. That almost documentary style. It wasn't just for looks. It puts you right in the chaos. Makes it feel immediate, visceral, like you're running alongside them.
So where did they actually shoot this? You mentioned the Isle of Dogs.
Yeah, principal photography kicked off September 1st, 2006 in London. Canary Wharf on the Isle of Dogs was a major location, standing in for that fortified District 1.
And Wembley Stadium. I remember scenes there.
Well, slight movie magic there. Wembley was actually being rebuilt at the time.
Oh, right.
So those scenes were filmed in Wales at Cardiff's Millennium Stadium.
Clever substitution. And Boyle, even though he wasn't the main director, he did step in a bit.
He did, yeah. He directed some parts, including that really intense opening sequence with Robert Carlyle.
The cottage scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can almost feel his touch there. It's amazing how many hands and how much thought went into making this sequel work, even with the directing change. Shows real dedication to the world they built.
It really does. A commitment to the vision, even with a fresh pair of eyes leading it.
So the film gets made. It's got this great cast, this intense vision. But the big question is always, how did it actually do? Did it connect with audiences and critics? What was the splash it made?
Well, they definitely went for some creative promotion. Fox Atomic Comics and HarperCollins put out a graphic novel 28 days later, The Aftermath, kind of bridging the gap between the two films.
Oh, cool.
And then there was this really bold stunt. They projected a giant biohazard warning sign onto the White Cliffs of Dover.
No.
Yeah, April 13th, 2007. Exactly 28 days before the UK release. It had the message, UK contaminated, keep out.
Wow, that's gutsy.
Yeah.
Talk about leaning into the premise. Was that just for attention or trying to make it feel more real?
Probably a bit of both, right? It definitely grabs attention, but it also taps into that real-world fear of containment, borders, warnings, makes the threat feel less like fiction, more immediate.
Yeah, I can see that. Did that buzz translate? How did it perform?
It seemed to work pretty well. Theatrical release was May 11th, 2007, UK and US simultaneously.
And the box office.
It opened decently in the US, about 2,000 screens, made $9.8 million its first weekend, which sounds okay, but it was up against Spider-Man 3 in its second week, so it landed at number 2.
Tough competition.
Very. But overall, worldwide, it pulled in $72.3 million, and the budget was only $15 million.
Okay, that's a very healthy return then, especially for horror.
Definitely a financial success. And it did well on DVD, too. Sold over 1.3 million copies in the US alone, adding another, $25 million or so.
So audiences showed up. What about the critics? Was it seen as just a retread, or did it stand on its own?
Generally, it was received quite favorably. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 72% positive from 196 reviews.
Relatively fresh.
Yeah. The consensus there kind of nails it. Maybe it lacks the humanism of the first film, but it makes up for it with fantastic atmosphere and punchy direction.
Okay, fair assessment.
Metacritic gave it a 78 out of 100, so again, generally favorable reviews.
Any standout praise?
Yeah, View London called it exciting, action-packed, and superbly directed. A.O. Scott at the New York Times said it was brutal and almost exhaustingly terrifying. Also bracingly smart.
Yeah, high praise from Scott.
And Variety's Derek Elley called it a full-bore zombie romp that more than delivers the genre goods. It even landed on Rotten Tomatoes' own list of the 100 best zombie movies.
Not bad at all. It clearly made its mark.
It did, though it's interesting hearing Alex Garland's take on it.
The writer of the first one and the new one coming up.
Yeah. He called 28 Weeks Later a good early lesson for him. A lesson in the difference between creating something out of pure enthusiasm versus a project driven by the imperative of, essentially, we need another one.
That's a really candid insight into franchise filmmaking. The difference between artistic spark and maybe commercial necessity.
Exactly. A fascinating perspective. And just quickly, for music fans, the score by John Murphy was also well regarded, got a digital release in 2007, and a limited physical one later in 2009.
Right. Good score.
So yeah, overall, the film really did cement its place, proved a sequel could expand the universe, have its own vibe, and still be successful. And importantly, it kept the door wide open for more.
Which leads us nicely into the future of the Rage. Because the journey to the next film, that's a whole saga in itself, isn't it?
Oh, it's been a long, long road, almost as long as the time jump in the title now.
28 years later, yeah.
So back in June 2007, right after Weeks came out, Fox Atomic was already saying a third film was possible if the home video sales were good.
Which they were.
Right. By July 2007, Boyle was saying they had the story mapped out, but then silence for a while.
The dreaded development hell.
Pretty much. October 2010, Alex Garland pops up citing film rights issues as a delay, the classic problem.
Always the rights.
Boyle was still optimistic in early 2011, thought it would happen. But by April 2013, even he sounded uncertain.
So it really looks stuck.
For a long time. January 2015, Garland confirmed it was stuck in development hell, but he also said serious talks were happening. The working title then was apparently 28 months later.
Okay, keeping the time progression.
Then another gap until June 2019, when Boyle confirmed he and Garland were actively working on it again, and you started hearing whispers from actors. Imogen Poots in 2020, Cillian Murphy in 2021, both saying they'd be interested in coming back.
That must have fueled speculation. So
Yeah.
what finally got it properly moving after all that time?
It seems like June 2023 was the real turning point. Boyle and Garland publicly stated they were collaborating with serious intent to finally get it made. Seriously and diligently were the words used. And that's when they announced the title change. 28 years later, directly acknowledging how much real time had passed, which is, frankly, brilliant.
Really leans into the delay, makes it part of the story.
Exactly. Boyle said he wanted to direct. By July 2023, Cillian Murphy confirmed he'd discussed it with Boyle and was definitely interested.
And then, the big official news broke.
January 2024. The announcement, 28 years later, is officially happening. And not just one film.
A new trilogy.
A whole new trilogy. With Boyle directing the first one and Gerlin writing all 3 scripts, that's a huge commitment, bringing back the original core team.
Incredible news for fans. Any other tidbits since then?
In April 2024, Garland mentioned that the classic British film Keys was a major influence on his script for 28 years later, which is intriguing.
Keys. Wow, okay. Unexpected.
Yeah. Then the first trailer dropped from Sony in December 2024.
And the release date is locked.
Locked and loaded. 28 years later, hit cinemas on June 20, 2025. Which, after all that waiting, is amazing. But it does make you ask, why? Why stick with this specific world for so long through all the delays? What keeps pulling them, and us, back?
That's the big question, isn't it? It must be something powerful in that original concept, the characters, the themes.
Seems like it. It clearly resonates.
Well, this deep dive really shows how 28 Weeks Later, specifically, became such a key part of this whole franchise story. You know, the plot twist, the production details we talked about, the way it was received, it all kept that flame alive for another chapter, even when it looked unlikely.
Absolutely. It proved the 28 Days concept wasn't just a one-hit wonder. It could evolve, explore new angles, bring in new voices like Fresnadillo, and now, with 28 years later, it's even integrating the passage of real time into its narrative. It's more than just scares. It's looking at us, at society under pressure.
It's been quite the evolution. So here's something to think about as we wrap up. What is it about stories like this, these post-apocalyptic tales that are so visceral, so focused on character, like the 28 Days series? What makes them stick around? Why do we as audiences and why do creators keep wanting to explore survival, human nature breaking down, the world maybe being remade by disaster, even decades after the first outbreak hit our screens?